Welcome to the 1334 podcast, where passion meets purpose in the nonprofit world. Today, we get to speak with Corey Young and Dustin Mathis. Corey Young is the chairman of the board here at 1334 Media, and Dustin Mathis is a head volunteer. Today, we speak on some of our old projects, some exciting projects, and the mission and vision of 1334. Stay tuned for a fun episode.
So, welcome to the podcast. Blake.
Welcome you. This is your first one. I should be welcoming you.
No,
How are you gonna welcome me?
No, no.
Welcome me to my podcast. Welcome.
I'll do whatever I want to. We've been friends long enough to where I can welcome you to your own podcast. Yeah, it's been pod heisted, as Dustin just said. No, but Blake, it's finally your turn to be in the hot seat.
Yes, sadly.
Not sadly. I think a lot of us have been waiting for this moment. So, first question, Blake, what got you started into media production and or video production?
So I had a friend of mine who was a photographer, and he was taking photos, and he was like, "Hey man, you want to come with me on a photo shoot?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And that evolved into, "Hey man, will you carry this stool 15 acres out here into this wilderness and help me take pictures of the senior?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing anything." And then it was, "Will you bring this ladder all the way out?" "Yeah, man, I'll bring a ladder out there." And then eventually I was like, I actually kind of like photography. It's very interesting, between the light and everything you're doing on the camera. Yeah. And I just started learning as much as I could while on the photo shoots. And then he ended up giving me a Canon 70D and a few lenses and a bag and everything after he upgraded his setup. And then I just took that and just shot every day, everything I could. Then I ended up taking photos and videos for our church. Ended up doing all the youth media for a while and, just learning as much as humanly possible, making quite literally hundreds and hundreds of videos. And I ended up just liking videos more. It's more of a balance of the science and the art because you have moving images instead of just, stills. And then you have the audio and you have the music. And I just feel like you get more of an emotion and you can tell. I just really like the storytelling aspect of it. And then in 2017, I met a guy who was running an orphanage in India, and I was like looking up their website, looking at the stuff, and I was like, they don't have anything. Yeah. They have no media. They have everything they have is he shot on his phone, which is great because he's doing something. He's doing as much as he can. And he was in Georgia, and he drove to Elements Coffee in Albany, Georgia, and we sat down and talked for like 2 hours. Yeah. And I was like, "Hey, man, can I go to India and shoot for you?" He was like, "Yeah, absolutely. You buy a plane ticket, and I'll take care of everything else." So I ended up going in 2018 for a full year. I didn't go for a full year. I went for a full month. Yeah. And then for a full year, I was editing content for him and getting him as much stuff as I possibly could. That was how I made my first documentary. Learned so much because it's so much different than the little skits I was doing or the church videos or whatever I was doing, the announcement videos for youth, whatever I was doing. But man, I learned so much, and I really got a passion for helping people with their media that have no resources. They have nothing. Yeah. And as soon as I got back, I was like, I want to help missionaries and nonprofits. And then ended up getting a job at a staffing agency, and I was, doing all their social media and helping them run ads and that kind of stuff. Yep. And got approached by a guy who was running a nonprofit who kind of did that. They were making videos and productions for local nonprofits. And he was like, "Hey, man, could I hire you to run all of our media?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely. I would love that."
The easiest answer ever.
And so I started running the Pivot Foundation's social media and YouTube channel. Absolutely loved it. I created the first documentary I made was for A Better Way Grocers. It has like over 20,000 views. It still
Just
gets
still
a couple
insane.
hundred views like every week. It's constantly getting views. And I learned so much from just that, and I've built on that knowledge since. And then he asked us, start stepping out a little bit. He had some other stuff going on in life and wanted to, do his own thing, which is amazing. So he was like, would you want to start your own nonprofit? And that's what I wanted to do since I went to India the first time.
Yeah.
So he helped me set everything up. And so I started 1334. We got our 501c3 in October of 2021, I believe.
Yeah.
And, just kept doing everything that I was learning through Pivot. And, we just kept creating everything we can for nonprofits. And, that's kind of the story. I don't know if that was more information than you wanted or not, but.
Yeah, it was the question was, what got you into media and videography?
That was the whole story.
Yeah, that was literally the whole, from birth until like 2 to 3 years old.
Sorry.
So I do want to backtrack because I personally have known you for, God, well over 10 years now.
Yeah.
And I've seen the personal growth in your content because I remember mimicking and this is where, as soon as you said it, it popped into my head. We were mimicking Olin Rogers' videos from YouTube for the youth group announcement videos. And so we were filming these ridiculous skits about these stories, about ghost stories, all these kind of things.
We did one that was, it was like some kind of fake mafia thing.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Dude, let's be real. All the videos.
Were you in that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Where are these found at?
Sadly, I believe these are on a hard drive that got stolen.
No, these are on my
weren't.
hard drive. I have it somewhere.
We gotta find that.
We
And
don't need
some
to
of them
find that.
might be.
I gotta see it.
Some of them might be on a YouTube channel somewhere.
Yeah, no,
Maybe.
but it was
I'll have to find
ridiculous
it.
because we started off with me and you were running the youth media.
Yeah, you were doing the photos.
I was doing the photos, you were doing the video. Y'all tried to get me so involved in the videos, and I was like, dude, this is not me. Like, you have to have some type of brain function to want to edit videos.
You like shooting videos.
I like shooting videos, but the hardest part and the worst part for me is sitting down trying to edit because I'm like, hey, man,
It's the best part.
let me edit this quick video, and I'm taking 6 hours, and Blake just steps in and is like, here, burn, and then it's done. Like, you know how annoying that is? But, so,
I do.
yeah,
I know exactly how you know.
it's frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, so we should probably introduce Dustin and not just keep talking around him.
Well, I mean, we were going to introduce, but this guy takes...
I was debating on just staying quiet for an hour and a half and just being the guy making
Just-
facial gestures every now and then at the camera.
Just sitting here.
Yeah.
So Dustin is one of our main volunteers. He helps, shoot and edit a lot of the content for different nonprofits and social media work for people, and for 1334. How long have you been shooting?
I've been filming, I guess, probably a little over 2.5 years of, I feel insecure saying that because that's such a small time, but I feel like I've grown so much in those 2.5 years. But yeah, I'm not going to rant and rave over this whole thing like you did a while ago.
Sorry.
So yeah, about 2.5 years I started with the church, doing stream, and it took me a long time to jump in because it's so overwhelming, the level at which like everybody else around you is, and then you see that there's just so much more for them to learn. So it took forever. But yeah.
Why did you even do it to begin with?
Why did I start?
Yeah. Why'd you start shooting and editing, and what got you interested in all of it?
So, short answer is I've always saw things in video. The way I would view the world is like, man, if I could make a scene out of that, or if I could bottle that up, and if I could just give it to somebody for them to cherish so that they could see it, kind of type thing. And that's the way I would see the world. It's like, man, that would make a good video. And I actually started playing around with videos years and years ago. But then I got on, what was it, DaVinci Resolve, the free one. And I was like, oh my gosh, at everything you have to do to make this flow, So I just stepped away from it. But yeah, that's what got me into it. Was surprisingly what kept me away from it.
Really?
Was, being how hard that it can be. And then so I accepted the challenge and just kind of got my feet wet at church and jumped in and started editing.
That's cool.
Watching you do it mostly what made me want to do it.
So, Corey, what's your media background?
Give me my mic back. Yeah, so my media background, I think, starts around the same time that yours did back, 10 or 12 years ago. So my media background really stems from photography, and then working in the wedding industry, filming wedding videos and stuff like that with a business. I did that for a couple of years, did photography.
I totally forgot you did that.
Yeah, I did that for 3 whole years, bro. And that's where I got my stint in video production. I also worked at 2 marketing agencies here in Albany, Georgia. Had my stint in lighting and audio and script writing and all that kind of stuff. So, I've done a little bit of everything per se. But the bulk of it has been photography and photo editing. Been doing that for 12 years now going on. I actually went to India with you the second time and did photos there. And then me and my wife went technically a third time for all of us, but it was just me and her, and did some more photos and stuff.
Stick to photos.
Oh,
listen, hold on. I need to look at my camera real quick. There's no shot taken because I messed up the India videos because I left the monitor, and I will own up to this. Blake, you can take this, clip it, save it. I'll sign it. I left the monitor here in Albany, Georgia, and my eyesight's already bad, but not Blake bad. And everything was so out of focus.
Dude, so
it was bad.
So Dustin and I get this footage back, and we start to edit. And I'm scrubbing through some of this footage, and I'm like,
audio was good.
I'm like, well, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. That's out of focus. And then Dustin goes to edit this video. It's on the YouTube channel. It's epic. It's like the 9-minute long Who Is No Longer Orphans. Yep. Dustin, how long did it take you to edit that video?
I think I had like 48 hours in it.
Yeah, it was
for
something
9
like
minutes. Because everything I had to stop and research. First
No,
of all.
well,
and
how much that footage?
I found a clear footage of Susan.
Yeah,
and so
the
I was
interview
like,
was
let me
out of
punch in
focus.
on this 3 seconds of clear footage that I have and add some B-roll of her just glistening in the sun, because that was like the in focus footage that I had.
Everything that's
Halfway around the world for out of focus footage.
So going to Thailand, Corey's taking photos.
Yeah. So Enoch, if you do watch this, you don't have to worry, bro. Your videos are going to be so in focus because you have Dustin and Blake. I'm just here to get you some photo content, bro. I can promise you that autofocus is going to work beautifully.
I think you should practice. We have a few months. I think you should practice.
I think I'm good if I'm just doing photos, bro.
No, we're going to get you on video too.
Yeah.
We're going to shoot a movie.
There's 4 of us going. We need to shoot. Dustin and I were brainstorming a little bit today.
I can hybrid.
Yeah, you should.
As long as there's autofocus and I don't have to manually focus.
Yeah, I think if all 4 of us are going, we need to maximize our potential.
Yeah.
And we're brainstorming some content stuff that we want to do. And it's going to take multiple shooters, so we'll work on that autofocus. We got FX30s now, so
yeah,
should help you.
All right,
I'm
so
just giving you a hard time.
Oh, I know. So I do want to circle back, Blake, to earlier. I know you mentioned a little bit about 1334 and kind of the heartbeat, but what was kind of that moment where you were like, "This is definitely what God is calling me into"? but also like for other nonprofits, like when you get that initial call into something, how do you break away from the fear of the failure and the fear of not having funds or anything and that kind of sort of thing, and push through to actually enter in and develop? Because 1334 has been a brainchild for years, and we're just now seeing the fruits of the labor a couple of years later. And so like to other nonprofits, like what are your key tips for them of like, when you get the call, what do you need to do? How not to just stop and just let it be stagnant?
So I think to answer the first part of your question, I think a lot of it was just when I was in India and I was filming this interview with Andy. Mm-hmm. I quite literally recorded a 3.5 hour long interview with him. And, you know, the dude talked and talked, which was great. I had plenty of content.
Stop talking.
No. So we just had a conversation for 3.5 hours, mm-hmm. and it was awesome. But coming back and scrubbing through all the footage, I had quite literally like
days.
I think, yeah, it was
days.
I mean, it was a month of shooting, so it was days and days and days of footage. But
you were there for a month?
Yeah, the first time.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was there for the end of September to the end of October. Yep. It was like right at 4 weeks. Which was awesome. We traveled all through India. But it was what helped me realize that this is what I need to do, was seeing how impactful that was, because he was taking these videos back to churches. He was flying to the U.S. and he would drive the U.S. for a month or two at a time every single year, and he would drive thousands and thousands of miles. And he was talking to all these churches, as many as humanly possible, while he was here. And he was taking this 5-minute long video I made, and the people he was speaking with got to actually witness India. They got to see where he was, what he was doing. They got to see everything and live in it for a minute. And I don't have a number of like how many people it actually impacted, but I know that him being able to do that was impactful for him, at least. And, you know, it just created a fire in me to go and help as many people as I possibly could. Traveling the world is hard, especially being in India for a month. It was not easy, but knowing what it did for somebody else was everything I needed. But for other nonprofits, like if you're interested in starting your nonprofit, for me, all it was I knew this was something that other people weren't doing that I needed to do. I have the gift for it. I have what I need to do it. So who better than me, you know?
Yeah.
I may not have, you know, epics. At the time I was borrowing cameras from people. Still, to this day, I still borrow cameras from people, borrow lenses, borrow lights.
Shout out to the mics that we're borrowing.
Thank you, TMG, for these microphones. So you just kind of make it happen, you know? Yeah. That's been the biggest thing. Like, if it's a passion of yours to fill a gap somewhere that you see that no one else is doing, pray on it and do it.
Yeah.
You know, if this is, just find a way. Like, you can pray as much as you want. You can fundraise as much as you want. But if you're not doing something, then it's not going to help. It's not going to do anything.
So I was sitting here thinking while you were answering that question, you know, the highs and lows of everything you go through as a nonprofit, and now everything being so viewer related, and, you know, we put so much of our progress and success on how many views we're getting. What do you say to the people that look at their views and, you know, obviously they make, because I've seen you make good content that'll go and like been online for 2 years and have 30 views, you know, but then your next one will have exponentially greater views than that. What do you say to those people that are putting so much expectations on what they're doing and their views?
I would say it's hard because there was a video I spent quite literally 7 months making.
Yep.
7 months. And then I went and did nothing, essentially. Used my phone, shot something, put this random song I found from Instagram or something on it, and it got, 3,500 views. And the other one that I spent months making has 17,
What one was that?
There's been so many of them.
The depression one though?
Yeah, but Battling Darkness had
Yeah.
like hardly any views, and it took me 7 months to make it, from the idea to the guys that helped me produce it to all the shooting, all the different. I think there were 8 different shoot days.
Yep.
Not to mention however long I was editing, like 4 months, I think it was. But I mean, I think there's 2 really big things to do. One, focus on one person. If it's going to impact one person, if one person watches it and they care, then great. That's everything. Because it's not about numbers, it's about, it's about the impact.
Yeah.
And 2, you never know what's going to happen. Out of the 16 people that have watched it, one person, it may have impacted and completely changed their life. Even if it's a short video of you talking about how, hey, I just, handed out soup today, and this guy who's going through this, he was really impacted. If your video is just that, and it inspires somebody to go do it in their city, in their county, and, wherever they are, that's amazing, because you're impacting other people beyond that. And those are never numbers you're going to see. Like the Battling Darkness one, I just broke it up into 8 or 9 different vertical videos.
Yeah.
And one guy commented, and he was like talking about how he was super depressed and how there's nobody, and he lives on the other side of the country from his family, and no one ever calls him. And so I was redirecting him I commented back, and I was like, hey man, you matter. And the whole reason I made that video was for that guy.
Yeah.
Like, if 80 people watch this video that I spent 7 months on, but that one guy, he reached back out to family, or he found hope in one of the stories in the video. That's everything, dude. Like, that's everything. It's all about, when it comes to viewership, and you see Mr. Beast put $9 million into a video, or however much he's putting into most of these videos.
Too much.
And he's getting millions and hundreds of millions of views across all of his channels. Like, that's amazing, but that's primarily entertainment. Yeah, he's doing great things with his money, but that's primarily entertainment. And you kind of have to find the balance between, you're not just entertaining people. Yeah, the documentaries I make can be entertaining to somebody, but they're also informative, and they're inspiring, and you kind of have to find, different parts of, I guess you kind of have to deepen that why,
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but if you firmly believe in why you're doing something, goes back to the nonprofit thing. If you firmly believe in why you're doing it, then the rest of it's not going to matter anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I have, I think, over 300 videos on YouTube, and we have 83,000 or 73, or we have thousands of views across all of them, which is awesome. It's not nearly what it could be out of, most of them have 10 views, 14 views, 50 views, but I know why I'm doing it. And it's not just for viewers,
Yeah. I think the cool thing also is, like, just disclosure, I am on the board with 1334, and even for me, because, like, I don't always go on these shoots with you. We both have full-time jobs. We both have full-time families. Dustin, you're the same. But just getting to see the videos, because you'll send them to me and say, hey, do you see anything? Because I'm critical, and I'll see some things that maybe you haven't seen in a couple of hours of editing. But it's even cool for me because like I am literally one of the ones that gets impacted so much from these videos because I don't know about these nonprofits. Because the biggest thing is like, even with India, like who would have known that a guy from Georgia left for India on a mission trip back in the early 2000s or late 90s, I can't remember, fell in love with India, felt called by God to open up an orphanage there. 11 years later, opens up an orphanage, marries a woman from South India, has 10 to 20 beautiful little boys that they've raised up to 18 years old, have allowed them to find education, find better. I mean, when me and Bailey were there, they literally had just picked up, I want to say like 10 new boys. And a lot of those boys came butt naked at a train depot because that's all they had. And it's like until like what 1334 does comes out, how many people know about that?
Exactly.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And so like the biggest impact is like, even if like with that one guy in the comments, like saving that life or allowing him to see hope and find hope, you're also opening it up for these nonprofits that like, oh, somebody is actually doing something in my city, in my county, in my state to better our nation.
That's one of the first things that drove me to it was because I had no idea Andy was in India doing what he was doing, impacting people, like literally saving children.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how dangerous being a Christian was in India and all that kind of stuff. And he didn't care. He was there and he was doing it, you know, doing whatever he felt called to do. And that speaks volumes. And there's so many nonprofits in our community that's the same way. Like Open Arms does phenomenal things in our community. And hardly anyone knows who they are, what they're doing.
The Anchorage.
The Anchorage is amazing. And Heritage of Hope is doing amazing things. All these organizations are doing phenomenal things, and not enough people know about it. Some people do, but I feel like there's plenty out there. Why don't we have content about all these other organizations?
Yeah, well, to kind of piggyback off of that, I think that the struggle with having this organization that's so good and not being able to get the word out there, is part of like the evidence of the work that's being done, like that it's a good work. I think that, like you said, like that quick video you make that goes on there and gets thousands of views, as opposed to something that you took 7 months out of your time that you're heartfelt and everything that got 30 views.
Yeah.
It's like the quick and glamorous things, sometimes that takes off and makes it easy.
Yeah.
But, I think the evidence of that we're doing something right sometimes is in the struggle, like the suffering through, because that cultivates who you are, excuse me. And so I just think that in those times where it gets like that, it's so hard to look at it and be like, man, this is making me better, because being made better doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
It never does, But so yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of that and say that.
While you have the mic, why do you volunteer with 1334?
Because you asked me.
Really?
You said, "Hey, will you carry this light?" Really? Hey, will you carry this ladder? And I said, "Yeah." No. Yeah. I mean, truthfully, yeah. But it was the right place, right time, kind of type thing. It wasn't like you could have asked me 6 months before you did, and I would have been like, "Oh, maybe not," because it was just too daunting or whatever. But yeah, just because you asked and it was the right place, right time, man. That's just my heart kind of type thing. I want to go out there and you gave me the vehicle to head into the destination that I knew was right, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just knew it was the time for me to do it. And I have not looked back. I love it. I'm probably more addicted to this than I have been to anything.
Really?
Yeah. Constantly.
Better travel details for Thailand, bro.
Yeah.
Well, that was.
Man became our mother for traveling.
I'm glad you noticed. I was beginning to think you didn't notice.
That shared note he's made is massive.
No, that's important and pertinent information.
It is.
It's good. You need 3 prongs, not 2. Or no, you need. Wait. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's 2. It's 2.
Well, they have a 3 prong too, but they're round.
Yeah, that's the European.
But there was something I was going to ask Corey. What was I going to ask you, Corey? You remember?
Well, while you're thinking about that, I just want to piggyback something real quick. Oh, did you remember?
I remember. I'll get to it.
Okay.
He's gonna forget. He's gonna
Gonna
forget.
But no, like as we were talking and as you were talking about, like even just volunteering and stuff and like being perfect time, and what kind of we do at 1334. I'm reminded of Habakkuk 2, where the prophet talks about, you didn't say that right. Habakkuk. It's Habakkuk. It'll be in the comments. But no. But it talks about where, to write the message plain as day on the tablet so that, the messenger can carry the message. And, that's really what 1334 is about.
Yeah.
You're allowing people to share their message as plain as day to people so that the message can be carried out into the world.
And the reason it's 1334 is Matthew 1334.
I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, so it talks about Jesus always spoke in stories and parables. And I believe the way we do that now is video. Yeah. I believe what better way to tell a story or a parable, what better way to tell it than through video? And my goal one day down the line is to do narrative film. I want to write stories, kingdom-inspired stories, and tell that in a brand new, unique way. And I believe 1334 is one of the stepping stones for that. Learning how to build tension and create pacing and tell stories in a documentary format, I believe is what better way to tell a story, to learn how to tell stories than to tell stories. And so, so I believe video is the way that's done, and narrative film or documentary or short form content or these stupid vertical videos that's on everything now because of TikTok.
I have to.
You have to.
I do not like reels at all.
Like, the only reason my YouTube channel is growing as fast as it is, YouTube Shorts, and it's so stupid. They're
It's so hard for me to take my camera.
They're so dumb.
I forget it every time.
All you gotta do now is add like a video of somebody playing a video game or something.
Dude, I thought about doing that. Yeah.
And bro, you get millions of views, and it's like.
I wish you would edit videos for me so you could do it. You don't know how to open Premiere.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I love you. You're not saying I'm wrong.
I love you. I know how to open up Adobe Premiere.
How do you open a sequence in Premiere?
Let's see.
You
call your mom or you call Blake Barlow and you go, hey, man, I'm getting really frustrated about this video. And then Blake Barlow comes swooping in like Superman.
But he does this. First he goes cross-eyed.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's click, 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 click. Done.
And then I never
That's
have
when
to
I
edit a
edit.
video.
Dude, I'm like, you got to stop long enough to tell me
Listen,
what you're doing.
I'm going
so
to
much
tell y'all a
faster to do
secret.
it.
I told this to somebody at the gym the other day.
Oh, no.
The girl was talking about having to edit a video, and I was like, listen, you need like a Blake Barlow friendship where like if you don't want to edit a video, you ask him how to do something and he ends up just editing the whole video for you. It's kind of a beautiful
I can't tell you how many times I've
thing.
done that. Dude, but Dustin, so starting out volunteering, Dustin didn't know a whole lot. And he was like, how do I do this? He'd never used a Mac before, and he got a MacBook.
That was the double-edged sword right there.
So
the
he
Mac
was,
and Adobe. Oh,
he was
my
calling
gosh.
it like 9 o'clock at night. Hey, dude,
In a row, back to back.
Dave,
Back to back
and
to
calling.
back.
Mute the audio.
I can't hear anything. How do I find this, bro? Click Finder. Which one's the far left bottom
It doesn't
blue
help
and white
that
face?
I am a country bumpkin.
Yeah, but and with Dustin, which is phenomenal. He doesn't want me to. Corey, on the other hand, the reason
I
I
can't
started
stand it when he changes my video, especially I can if he explains it, if I can walk away from there with some information, but he doesn't explain it.
I could care less, bro. Editing videos is not what
Dude,
God wired me to do, bro.
when I went to, so I started editing the very first time on his computer, and he was like, "How do I do this?" I'm like, "I need to do it. Let me do it really quick, and I'll Command Z and do everything." He said, "What's Command Z?" And then
It's written in my notebook still. It's in my notebook.
and then
I have a notebook for my notebook.
And then I opened Premiere settings and I added Premiere shortcuts. He was like, "Okay, what the freak was that, dude?" I was like, "I'll explain it later. Just know, hit Command H."
I just can't push a button and be a button pusher. Like I've got to know what I'm doing constantly. Yeah, I don't have anything. I'm just adding to what you're saying.
That's fine.
Go for it. Your turn.
More questions?
Well, I got one for Corey.
You know Corey's constantly going to grab that thing.
Yeah, well, it was simple. The writing was on the wall. I read it every day.
Yeah. Don't tell everybody about our script on the wall.
That'll make this a lot easier.
While we keep looking.
How did you become the chairman for 1334?
This is different.
Yeah. So to not go into too much detail, there was an opportunity that presented itself. And of course, me and Blake have been friends for 10 plus years. And, I've always been behind him in everything that he does prayerfully. And as much as I can help, except for editing and focusing videos, apparently. I'm not making Enoch feel any good about bringing me to Thailand right now. But no, so the opportunity presented itself, and after some prayer, I really wanted to help in some way. Like, my passion is just to see others thrive. And what better way to do that than to help somebody be able to alleviate themselves from a lot of the pressures of running a nonprofit, just like Blake does with media for nonprofits. So, the opportunity presented itself. I felt the prompting from the Lord to say yes and to take it. Just like you, it was just perfect timing and perfect season. And outside of that, I help with the creative oversight, I guess you would say.
Yeah, you're out of the whole board, you're the only one with media experience.
Yeah.
Which is huge. Like, I have creatives I bounce stuff off of all the time, from Dustin, Taylor.
Yeah.
I send stuff to Tim Brock all the time. I'm like, "Hey, man," I'm sure most of these people get annoyed, but I'm sending like, "Hey, what how's this? How's this?" And I'm constantly showing people stuff. Logan, my wife, all the time.
I know whenever I get a "hey man" text, that means he's about to send me something.
If I ask my wife, she's going to want me to change something. And I'm like,
No, Logan does all the time.
Yeah.
The worst is typically the two things Logan wants me to change, either the colors or the song. Every time.
And you can never change the song. Like, you just edited perfectly to this, and then it's like, change the song. You're like, dadgummit, man.
I'm making a new video at this point. Right?
So at the cafe, Karis, we just hired her a few months ago, but she just naturally, like, her family's made videos and stuff for years, and
Movie
so
producers.
the Peace Mountain Ranch video, I showed it to her, and it was like basically done. It was.
Who shot that video?
He
You
just
did.
wants credit where credit is due.
You, me, and Taylor. We all three shot it. It was a
That was fun, trip.
3-day weekend. We can talk about that too.
One day, pretty much. We stayed awake the whole time.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was not a vacation.
No.
But I showed it to her, and it was one of those times where I like to show people that I've never shown videos before.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this. First thoughts. And she watched it, and she was like, "You need photos at the beginning of this." I was like, I know. That's something that I was thinking about this whole time.
Yeah.
And no one else had pointed it out. So I was like, I'm just not going to do it. I don't want to message him. And the video is basically done, so why not just be done with it? And when she said that, I was like, okay, I gotta freaking make all these.
Yeah.
I gotta text him, and it took another 2 or 3 weeks to finish it. But I think the final product's well worth it.
Oh, yeah. I meant, the Peace Mountain Ranch video, for those that don't know, And I'll let y'all kind of bounce off, and I'll just kind of sit in the background here for a second. But to finish your question, so chairman, help with the creative, also pitch to nonprofits to try to get them on board with us, not for donations or anything, but we just really want to help as many people as possible. Because the more people we help, the more people we can get to volunteer, the more people that, like Dustin, can learn how to edit and take these kind of skills outside of the walls of 1334 Media. But for the Peace Mountain Ranch video, Blake or Dustin, I guess I can mediate some questions for y'all that y'all can kind of bounce with one another. What got y'all involved with Peace Mountain Ranch? Tell the story of driving 30-something hours in the pitch black dark where it was darker than dark, apparently, as you always tell me, Dustin. What was the impact from that video for y'all?
Yeah.
And what do you think the impact of that video is and still continues to be for the community?
You want me to start?
Yeah, first, well, I'll say how we got connected, and then you can say how we got there.
Was that Church of the Groves?
Yeah. So a good friend of mine, I go to the gym with him, Rich Green. He was like, "Hey man, we're going on a mission trip. You want to go?" I was like, "What are you doing?" "Yeah, I mean, I'll go." And he started to explain Peace Mountain Ranch and all the amazing things they do. And I was like, "Do they need media?" He was like, "I don't know, probably." And
that's a yes, by the way, for anybody listening. You all, especially 2024, you need it just
somehow,
like you need food and a bed to sleep in.
So I believe he put us in a group chat or something, Harvey and I, and he was excited, and he had no idea that it wasn't just me, but sorry.
He just pretty much thought people were just going to show up, didn't know what to expect, and just shoot something. I mean, we could have shot with our phones, and he would have been like, that's probably what he was expecting.
Yeah, and me, Taylor, and Dustin show up. We have 2 drones. We have,
Lights,
4 or 5 cameras, lights. We have everything we need, and we get there at 1, 2 in the morning.
No, it was later than that. We've got there at like 3:30, and they were behind us coming in at supposed to be 4:30. We wound up being a little after 5, but that was after a full day of work. We loaded up on a Friday. Thursday it was. Yeah, we took off Friday and went up there, and it was darker than dark. I don't know what the deal was. I've got a nice truck, great headlights. Could not see a thing. I could not see a thing. I don't know what the deal was.
Not only it was a new moon, and it was
in
cloudy.
the mountains. There was, you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you. I don't know what it was. The green light, it switched from red to green. It was so dark that green light was blinding me. You remember that?
Yeah.
And
we
right
see.
after you get through the intersection was an immediate 90-degree
We
turn.
couldn't see. So we left. The plan, we all got off at I think 5 that day. Yeah. The plan was meet up. We all run home, meet up in one spot, leave by 6.
It was an 8-hour one-way trip.
8
hours one way.
8-hour drive. And we kept having to do stuff. And I think we left at 7:30.
I don't remember.
But man, we started driving.
We had fun though. I mean,
it was fun.
It was a good trip. It was.
The first few hours were great. We got past Atlanta, we couldn't see anything for the next 4 hours.
And I'm glad Blake was not driving. He said he would. He said he would take the wheel. I was like, we're good. We're good, Blake. What's the funniest part about it?
Dustin got to work at 5:30 that day.
6 a.m. We start at 6, but yeah.
He woke up at.
Yeah, easy.
And we get there at 3:30 or 4 or something.
Wait up on the crew coming behind us.
We meet up with everybody. We get there. We go to sleep, and we're all up at 7:30.
Well, we don't go to sleep immediately. We were awake long enough for Harvey to tell us, "Hey, so when we wake up in the morning, we're gonna feed the livestock. Then we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that. Then we're gonna cook breakfast and have coffee." And I was like, "Okay, well, what time are we waking up?" And he's like, "Probably 6:30." I'm like, oh, but you can sleep in if you need to. And I was like, sleep in? Man, that's an hour and a half away. What? And so, needless to say, they found me and Taylor passed out in the same bed.
I have a video.
Me with my
Bro,
earplugs in. 'Cause
Taylor-
he's over there,
Taylor.
like a gargoyle.
And you know what time I got them up? 8:30. You know what time we were done eating? 8:30. We'd all eaten. All the food's cold. We've all
Had y'all eaten by then?
Yeah.
But then
we
everyone's
all
like-
had cups of coffee and everything.
And they just like, oh, nice of you to sleep in. I was like, man, I just closed my eyes, man. I didn't realize what time
Rich
it
was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be up at 5:30."
It's
And he
like-
was besides you guys, he was the last one to get out of bed.
But yeah, that's how that started. And it was wide open from there.
Yep.
That was a fun experience though, because they're so new. They, as a matter of fact, they wasn't even a legitimized nonprofit at the time. I don't think
They were.
Were they?
Yeah.
Well, they hadn't gone like public.
Yeah,
or
they
something
haven't
like
been
that.
public,
We were
yeah.
there to help them go public.
Yep.
So to be on the ground floor of that, to see that, and they're still, trying to get themselves out there and trying to get their funding and everything that they're trying to do. But to be there, man, it was one thing I remember too is on the way up there, because you're going through the hill countries. I mean, it is what it is. As country as can be, and you look around and when you're in a place where there's drugs and everything just by looking, and you could feel it.
Yeah.
Like it felt like we were riding in. Like one time we hit that altitude change, you all of a sudden you just knew like you were in a dark space, and I don't know why it felt like that, but when we got there, as soon as we crossed that property line, it was just like peaceful, and it's
So in
Peace Mountain Ranch.
in India, the only thing I can like compare it to was when you pull onto the 7 acres in India, all of India spiritually feels a certain way, and then you pull on that property, there's like the spirit is there, like it feels like you're in a Jesus bubble or something.
Yeah.
And that's what Peace Mountain Ranch feels like. It's the only place I've ever seen like that besides India. It was, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now. It was wild.
It's a little city of refuge, basically.
Yeah, and like you can tell that that's who they are. Like they eat, sleep, and breathe helping veterans, and you can tell like to the way that they pray for the property itself. Like that's all they are. That's all they think about, and that's all they do. And it was so cool. So like some of the content we made, we went and made the quick turnaround video for the Groves. So we had us, and then it was I think 3 or 4 other churches represented. And the Groves took the short video back, and they were able to say, hey, all this money you guys raised, this is where it went, which was super cool. But then I did another video for them that they used for their like going public event. They did a whole fundraising event where the community came out, and they had like food trucks and
That's great.
all sorts of stuff donated. Yeah, it was like 2 weeks after we left, I think. So I went and wrapped both those videos up for them, and then started working on the documentary. What's great about events like projects like that, and what I try to get, some nonprofits, they just need small info videos, which is great. I mean, I've helped with websites, and I've helped with all sorts of stuff, but some people,
limited amount of times.
some people, all they want is, hey, can you just do this text on screen and some footage like this? I like this video here, and you just kind of remake it, which is great. But some of the stuff I try to sell people on, nonprofits in particular, let me shoot and make as much content as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Why waste, you have all this footage. Like I made, I don't know, a rough estimate, maybe 20 pieces of content, maybe more from the Peace Mountain Ranch stuff, the documentary included. And like, why waste all the content when you could break it into these reels and shorts and TikToks, and then the horizontal videos and all that stuff?
I'd like to add to that too. What makes it so much easier to do that too is that the reason why we're there is so good that you can make content from anything. It's like you don't have to like just you walk into that like when you get there. Pretty much like any nonprofit we've dealt with, for the most part, has been. They're just they truly mean what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Like they're not faking it until they make it or anything like that. They're just wearing their heart on their sleeves. And whenever you get people like that, the content's easy because everything is content. So
you're just capturing moments.
That's it. That's it. You don't have to stage them really.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you can. It makes it better. I mean, you know, we got the lights, we got the microphones and everything, but you could film anything and make content out of it when it's genuine like that.
Yep.
So that
like even
helps.
one of the opening shots of the Peace Mountain Ranch video, like it's just Harvey picking his cat up and talking to me. That's it.
Or putting his boots on.
It all goes back and it all helps tell a story, and every moment and every interview and everything, it all goes back and helps tell a story. And I wish all the nonprofits I helped at the beginning, I knew technically all the stuff I know now, because I can see, like, you go to the 1334 YouTube channel, you scroll back 3 years and you start looking through stuff, you can see how technically
absolutely.
And
I did that just a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I laid there.
How bad was he?
Like, looking at all of it.
Well, that is terrible.
We need to delete that.
Yep.
Vote on the board for that.
What were you saying?
Nothing. Listening.
Oh.
I was trying not to smile so big so I don't show you my teeth.
Oh.
My bad tooth.
Dustin, I really like how you put it, where you kind of basically say that, you know, it's so genuine what they do. Like they're not putting up a front saying like, hey, we're doing this. Like whenever you go to these places and you meet the people that are actually involved in the nonprofit, like you're actually getting to see the heartbeat of what makes the nonprofit itself, its own entity. And so for you, because I know like, you know, me and Blake, we've been to India, and I felt the same way about India. Like as soon as you show up onto that property, like especially if like you're somebody who can like feel in areas like the darkness and the heaviness that rests in there, and there's heaviness. Like I'll never forget, you know, seeing the little girl on the side of the street banging on the car window for us to give her money. And Andy and them are like, Corey, just stay facing forward. This isn't America. You cannot give them money. And tears are just welling up in my eyes because it's like, you want to help this person, but you can't because it's a whole nother country. But as soon as you drive onto this property, like it's like the Lord is there and you can feel the prayers. So as somebody who has not gone on many trips, I'll ask, like, with the Peace Mountain Ranch video, like, what was your favorite thing about that and learning about a nonprofit, like, in person instead of just, like...
That was your first trip, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was your first...
With 1334, yes. And I mean, that was my... Up until that point, that was my biggest... what is it? What's it? Undertaking.
Yeah.
Video undertaking, yeah.
So, like, what was your first initial thought about going in? What did you learn from that experience? And what are you anticipating for Thailand being your first international 1334
I got that
trip?
passport cover, too. So, obviously, I'm anybody that knows me, I'm up for adventure. Mm-hmm. So... You know, I have to really sit down and question why I'm doing things sometimes, because is it for this thrill and the entertainment, or is it for a heart for this? So when he asked me to go, I was like, absolutely, you know. Mm-hmm. And he's like, it's 8 hours. I said, absolutely, let's do it. And
now it's going to be a 20-hour flight.
Yeah, 50, at least a minimum of one flight being 15. But so we jump in there, and my first thoughts were, let's just do it. And then we get there, and you know, late at night, and then you realize, you know, you still got work to do, because as a matter of fact, that's just when it's starting.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, it's a grind, but it's like I said, you know, to kind of repeat what I said earlier, first of all, you see, when we get there, you know, I'd be like, hey, my door's unlocked, come on in, there's a bed in the back, go to sleep. Mm-hmm. No, he was waiting on us. Like, he was up all night with us, waiting on us, greeted us at the door, and wide awake, ready to go. And And so we get there, man, it's getting a little cold, ain't it? I'm getting a little chilly.
You haven't been seeing me shivering over here this whole time?
Well, it's going to work its way into my voice. So, yeah, that's one thing. And so, like I said, though, you get to see how genuine they are. So that lights another spark in you. And so I have those adventurous tendencies, and then I love genuine people.
Yeah.
And you mix those two together, and you come away with a product. Like, if you haven't seen the video and everything done for Peace Mountain Ranch, check that out, because when you walk away with something and you get to see those fruits of labor like that, man, it really, like you said earlier, it doesn't matter if it's got 3 views. You know, it doesn't matter, because I know it's good.
Yeah.
And so we walked away from there, and now looking forward to Thailand, man, I can't, holy moly, from my life 6 years ago to where it is now, and about to go on a mission trip to Thailand, and the restoration and
Come on.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Crazy what the Lord can do.
It is. And a wife that supports you, because I cannot believe she's like, yeah, go to Thailand. You know, because when you say that, you know, you got to think about what that takes.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we know, and other people know, but when you sit down and take it legitimately for the first time, and you look at the expenses, then you got to look at, like, okay, yeah, it's going to cost this. Yeah, then your boss has got to let you go for, and God knows, I mean, that's a lot of work days.
And you have kids.
And I have kids, and so for her to say yes, and for me to have this opportunity, man, I really cannot express to you the level of gratitude and just humility that comes with that.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm super excited and that's an understatement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I almost wish it was like a war zone we were going into, though, instead of like the most peaceful Buddhist monks you could ever walk into. You know,
you say that.
Yeah, well.
And then you know, because Blake, you've been
So
I don't know how much time we have left, but I know you are the closest one of our friends that have been near a war zone for a mission trip.
yes,
So
we will get to that right after this quick commercial break. I gotta switch an SD card, and then we'll keep going. This podcast is only made possible because of listeners like you. We are completely donor funded, and so everything we do at 1334, from free media, consulting, documentary work, everything we do is entirely donor funded from listeners just like you. If you'd like to learn more, you can click the link below. This podcast is made possible because of TMG Market Group. They are an incredible marketing organization here in Albany, Georgia, and they have been one of our main supporters from the very beginning. If you'd like to learn more, click the link below.
oh my gosh! All right, do we all want to say it at the same time, Dustin? All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. We're. I said, are we all going to say it? I count down and nobody says it. All right, you know what? That was good. All right, let's get back to it. So,
Yeah.
you were talking to us about your story about being close to war zone whenever your first mission trip to India.
So we get there, and it's like it takes me a day or two to adjust. And after you land, I landed at 3 a.m. I go to a hotel, and the next day we drive about 4 hours. 4 hours in India driving is very different than like.
Think about your worst dirt road on a rainy
Dude, it's
day
rough.
that has not gotten its potholes fixed. People are honking at you, yelling at you, flashing their lights at you, and that's it.
So we drive down, and then like week 2, we plan to drive to Punjab, which is awesome.
Yep.
Punjab is right on the border of Pakistan, and there's a large population of Sikhs who they're a monotheistic religion, which is awesome. They accept Christians, but being right there, first off, India and Pakistan don't agree on anything. They have a long history of war, and it just was not the safest place to be.
Yeah.
Not only as a Christian, it's kind of fine. However, you know, you're on the. We went literally, like I could see Pakistan from where I was.
Yeah.
Which was pretty nuts, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
We did have to get there in the middle of the night. We did leave, as it was. We left middle day, but man, that was a 9 or 10 hour drive, and I was stuck in between two guys in the back seat of a tiny car. I was sore for days, dude. And the guy next to me was larger. He was like 6 foot. I'm 5'5". I had plenty of room in the tiny car.
5'5" on a good day.
And a half, 5'5" and a half. And
Yeah, get the tape. Who gave you that extra half?
This dude did not fit in this tiny little car. So every bump, he's bumping his head. Do
you remember the taxi ride from India?
Yeah.
We met at that gas station with the sketchy dude from the taxi because they couldn't follow us back to New Delhi.
Good story, guys.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we'll bring you
I
next
know.
time, bro.
That was bad.
Jeez.
Anyways,
Dustin. I want to come back to you, brother. This is the Dustin show now. I know, man. So being a volunteer at 1334, what are some of the things that you've learned outside of...
and why do you do it?
Because you asked. You don't remember him saying that? I'm just kidding. So yeah, like why do you do it? And what are some of the like lessons that you've learned from doing it?
So professional podcasting here, we're asking the same question twice.
Yes. This is not the same question.
Well, slightly different.
That's how we podcast around here, okay?
It's like the first one was Mountain Dew.
got
This one's Mountain Dew Zero.
3 ADHD kids.
Oh, I've held it back pretty good.
We're just gonna ask the same question until we get the answer we want.
So this is
So
the
Dustin,
question.
why do you volunteer?
So yeah, okay. One is why, right?
Yes.
That's the one you asked before.
Well,
2.
you
Well,
didn't finish answering.
well,
You said because I asked.
And then we tangented.
but that is though, like, okay.
Well, that's why you started. Why do you still do it?
I don't know, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Why am I even on this podcast?
Is this where are we at?
Whose house? Oh, it's your garage.
So,
He wanted to shout out.
I know. That's what he was baiting for.
oh yeah. Shout out my garage, by the way. All the manly stuff in the world in one garage.
There's a bunch of pink tools in here. I don't know what
Pink
manly-
tools and one 0-turn lawnmower that looks ready to run the Daytona 500. It does. Look at the tread. Even got headlights. So listen. Okay, here we go. You ready? I'm getting comfortable. Or maybe it's a drink.
It's an energy drink.
It worked.
I just told you us ADHD kids over here drinking the caffeine, calming down.
First and foremost, I had to learn this with video. It's like your schedule can be wide open and then completely slam shut really fast. And somehow or another, I'm going to tie this into the answer that you're looking for.
Go for it.
So it gives me so I have to kind of like push through that. And I love those challenges like that because I am such a procrastinator to where something has to force me to, like in video, create a product. And so at the end, I don't know that this is actually going to make sense. How do we triangle this back? How do we get this back in?
You were the one answering the question.
I think I was just talking to myself.
I think you were. I think you're just having a monologue with yourself.
I don't even know.
Just keep going until the railroad tracks meet up at
zoom
the
in on me.
intersection or something.
Yeah, they're not going to intersect.
Good answer. This is the moment where Steve Harvey just looks at you.
Are you going to
and
leave
is
this in?
Might as well.
Oh, yeah, this is real life. You know what I'm saying? Well, now everybody's going to get quiet and just stare at me.
Waiting.
You were the one answering the question.
Okay, ask me the question one more time. What's the question?
You are not ready for your Jordan Peterson interview.
I'm not interviewing
This man wants
Did I say
to
interviewing? I'm not interviewing Jordan Peterson. No, seriously though, the reason why I do it, Corey, straighten up over there. It gives more than it takes. If that I don't want
No,
to be. I don't want to be like over the top dramatic or whatever.
No, I see
but
what you're saying.
It really like I can take my video out there and my camera and film the leaves blowing. But at the end of the day, I've got a video of leaves blowing across my yard. This gives me something that I care about, you know, and like I said, when you go to these nonprofits and you see them with their hearts on their sleeves and they're truly trying to do what they care about, it makes you want to sign up for more. And whenever it makes those times when that schedule does get filled up and it gets tough and it gets, which you know more about that than I do, because I can overload myself with small videos because of the time it takes me to do them, but it makes it worth it. And it just, I don't know, man. I really don't know how to explain it as genuinely as I feel it, if that makes sense.
What go ahead, and I got a question for him as well.
So one thing about like, so I've helped you since you started, and I've helped a few people.
Oh, shout out to Taylor Howell too.
Taylor Howell, and like there's a group of creatives that have asked me questions. Like a friend of mine, Cam Cruz, she was like, "Hey, I think I want to make videos.
Yeah.
Can you show me how to edit?" I was like, "It's not quite that simple, but yeah."
How many decades do you have?
I sat down and, you know, went through just the basics of Premiere. And then she went and started shooting weddings and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And one thing, like, for the volunteer aspect of this, I want to help people, you know, find something that is a passion for them, but also help people make money. Like you, Taylor, Cam.
Yeah, because think about what that's branched off to. Since we've started this, we're in the process of starting a for-profit.
Yeah.
To be able to go out and, you know, I'm not going to say make it our full time, but and Cam, you know, going
Cam,
out.
Yeah.
That's right. And then not only that too, you know, serving at church on Sundays, you know, we do the stream team and we've got a really good setup.
Yeah.
And why is that? Well, we got a lot of people who care about it and that started doing stuff like this, or vice versa, did the stream and then went into this.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what happens with a lot of us right there.
And that's like, yes, getting help with videos for other nonprofits is amazing. I would love to send people, even this, somebody else edit this. That'd be awesome.
Nigel?
But Dustin, Taylor, Court. Nope. But what I love so much is seeing that, like, Cam's been doing this for like 3 years, I think. Yeah. She makes wedding videos, and you want to go shoot weddings, and you and Taylor
got a couple lined up.
Yeah, and you and Taylor are shooting commercials and stuff, and I love that about it, because like the more everyone grows, the better everyone gets. Yeah. The better we're all gonna end up.
The
getting.
Team gets better.
Yeah, like everyone. Like I don't see anyone as competition, because we're all pushing each other. Like I just met. We shot the Night to Shine for Vine, and it was phenomenal.
The best event.
It was quite literally the best and well organized event I've ever seen in my entire life. It was phenomenal, and I got to meet. Todd Yurik's a friend of mine, and we shoot videos, and I get to help him every now and then. And then Andrew Lanier, I met him shooting weddings years ago, and he's the one that reached out, and he was like, "Do you and anyone you know want to help shoot this?" I was like, "Yeah,
we'll put your
absolutely.
Logo on the board."
I did not
remember
send
that?
it to him.
Yeah, and Blake didn't send it. Take that, Storehouse Media.
Someone's butthurt about logos.
I just got it in. Don't worry.
But what's so great? Like I met Zac Brown, a guy out of Americus that he shoots and freelances and shoots videos full time, and he's amazing. Like it's so easy to see him and Cam and all, like even people in Atlanta that are shooting weddings and stuff, and be like, man, I can't get anything because, you know, whatever. But it's not true. It's they're doing something amazing that's going to push me to be better, and that's going to push you to be better. Like,
And not just that, it's not like we feel like it's saturated because of where we're at. We're in a very small town, a very small little paradigm to get our information from. But really, the biggest thing is willingness. Because, I mean, if you're willing to make that radius of travel 30 miles and say make it a 60 or whatever, there's plenty to go around for everyone. And the way that we're able to work together on these projects, that's what, because it doesn't matter if it's for me and mine or for you and yours, we're still going to send each other videos back and forth and say, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And this, you know what I mean? Like, it really boils down to willingness with this particular, with videos.
Yeah.
In general.
Art form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Art form, that's nice.
Yeah.
Sure.
I guess you'd call it that.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it when you're like this at the staring into your MacBook as it stares back into you.
I feel like a lot of it. I made this parallel today at work. It's very similar to coffee. Like coffee, there's an art form to it. There's the art form of like the recipes and the cooking aspect of it, but there's
Unless
also
you like Folgers.
There's also a lot of the science behind it. You need this type of water at this temperature, and you need it ground like this, and this amount of water, and whatever, like stir it this way.
Most people just pay a barista.
All that stuff goes into it, but it's the same way. Like it's a mix. You have the recipe side of it, but you also have the technical side of it, and it's a really fun balance between the two. And to loop it all back, that's one of the things that I love about 1334 and what we do is like it's easy for a nonprofit to use their phone and edit on iMovie or on iMovie on an iPad, or edit their videos in Instagram or whatever. It's easy to do that. And
there's nothing wrong with it if that's all you have.
And that's what's great. If it's all you have and that's what you're doing, phenomenal.
Absolutely.
But there's also, why not use, what we have?
A free 1334 service.
Anyway.
I guess that's what I was trying to say earlier. The challenge of everything and trying to get it to work together, just to make that steady flow for the viewer's eye, and the purpose behind it. You're taking this nonprofit and you're presenting it to the world, like you said earlier. We'll never know anything about some of these things. We wouldn't know if somebody like us didn't bring it out, or whatever. That's why I do it. That's the
and there's two sides of it too. There's that side of 1334, and there's also, I have made countless videos that no one's seen because I haven't made it for YouTube. I haven't made it to put someone on a pedestal. I've made it for, hey, I need help with this internally. Can you do this? Yeah. Or I need help with this video for our social media, and I just make it and send it to them. I've never posted it. Same thing. Nonprofit came to me and they were like, hey, we're working on our website and I do not like it and I can't figure out why. Can you look at it? I was like, yeah, man. They gave me login and I went in and started adjusting stuff. They're like, dude, I love it. And it took me, a couple days, and I just messed around to make it look a different way. But no one's ever going to know that I went in. Yeah. And that's fine. I love that aspect because that's why it's been so hard to start a podcast. I felt called to start a podcast for a year, and I never did. I felt called to video myself for Instagram or whatever, but I never wanted to because I don't care. I don't want to. I hate this part of it. I hate talking on camera.
Yeah, me too.
But I need to help get the message out, and that's more important to me than my comfort zone. I would prefer if no one had any idea who made 1334 videos and they just went viral and no one ever knew who did it. That would be even better. But that's not what's happened, and this is what matters right now, and so that's what
you have to do.
That's what I have to do. That's what I'm going to do. And I love that the podcast gives us the option to, I'm going to interview Jermosky Franklin soon about his nonprofit, and it gives me the opportunity to sit down and talk to him face to face for however long we want to, and we can just chat and people get to find out about him, and you don't have to put in this crazy production. We can just talk.
And what's good too is, you know, you get to pick your nonprofits you want to support as well, because you get to sit down with people that are authentic, and not everybody who has a nonprofit is authentic. You know, you run across the ones who are shams or whatever, you know, just trying to play the system. But then you come across the people, like you just said, that you get to sit down with and get to know. And to bring it, I don't have anything after that. You're going to have to edit that out.
No, and that's true, and that's a great part of it, because and I want to get the team to a point where, and the organization to a point where I can help everyone that asks. I would love that. I would love to have a team of, 10 full-time media professionals, and all they do is help people. That's like the end goal. Within the next 5 years, I'd love to have a studio that nonprofits use completely for free, and like 3 to 5 full-time employees. That would be phenomenal. But that's not where we are right now, and so we're just working to get to that point to where I can help everyone that comes to me, Yeah,
and I think the biggest thing, like, especially for what 1334 does, like, the biggest holdup that a lot of us have is, like, can we trust this person? Do we really know what they do? Like, okay, where's my money actually going to go?
Money going
so, like,
it's supposed to?
Like, even with, like, our Thailand trip, like, our pastor vouched for Enoch, because our church, has been donating to them and providing, assistance to them for a year, or however long, I'm not too entirely sure. But it's like, until those stories come out, until you sit down on the podcast and you talk to these people like Farmer Fredo, you sit down and talk to these people with the Men's Health, and people actually get to see, like, okay, this is where my money is going, but also, like, this is what's impacting the city. This is what's helping people throughout the city. And that's the biggest thing, I think, for me. And I mean, you can, piggyback with it, but, like, for us, is like, it's just, who are the hidden ones? Like, biblically it talks about not an ecclesia, but a remnant. And it's like, who are the remnant people, the hidden ones in our city that are making the most impact? Like, the ones that are, like, humbly doing these things, but still deserve their time on not just, like, the platform, but their time to be seen, so that people know what they're doing. Is
yeah. So they can continue.
Yeah. So thank you guys for doing this, sitting down for a ridiculous amount of time, probably too long.
No.
It's never too long when it's us three.
We need them to be this long.
Yeah, we can probably do another one here soon. This is fun.
The Three Stooges podcast.
The 1334 kind of podcast.
Well, it's been all 1330.
Yeah, which is good. I was worried that we were going to start talking about something dumb.
Trucks and...
Mud flaps.
Well, I mean, Dustin did start talking about his zero-turn lawnmower
did.
at the Daytona 500, so...
Well, I did good. I said I did good until, like, mile marker hour 10, probably.
Yeah. Mile marker hour 10. But yeah, we'll wrap it up here, and I'll ask Dustin in just a few minutes to edit this video and make YouTube shorts out of it for me.
He's going to say yes.
Thanks,
Dustin.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who listened. Thank you to everyone that listened this whole time. And Nigel is waiting to hit end on the...
Yeah, hold on. Shout out to Nigel behind the camera.
Yeah.
Just sitting there doing nothing. But at least he's standing there. He's giving us a warm smile right now. Like, we
And I wish there was, like, a magic, maybe that's not the right word, but the right combination of words to put together to get this message out there. Not for us, but for everything that it could change, and everything that it can touch. I want this to get out there, guys. You know, that's my prayer for this. Not just for the views, but the views it does signify something, I guess, you know. And man, I want to go to Thailand. Y'all send me to Thailand. Bye.
Perfect way to end it. Bye.